Folks, we are back, and my voice is just not quite yet. But
you lose the voice every time, bro.
I mean, come on. It was 18 hours this time, dog. 18 hours.
That's true. 18 hours.
That's crazy.
That makes sense.
It ended up being 19. But
that's wild.
We are back to talk about the aftermath, not Slim Shady and Dr. Dre, but the aftermath of Jake Paul, Tommy Fury.
Man.
Hell of a fight. Now, you know what I want to do first thing, Sensei? I want to address something. And I addressed this on my main channel, and we're going to address it here too. We're being called a bunch of nobody, don't know boxing, casuals, and I just want to say something. We may have gotten the pick wrong. Oh, I'm going to curse, Christian, so you might as well bleep. But you guys run f***ing tape back because we were accurate as absolute anybody else as picking the entirety of the fight leading up until the decision. Everything that you and I said from both perspectives went exactly the way we said it would. Tommy comes out early aggressive on the front foot, wins a couple of the first rounds. Jake obviously starts to get some things back. The fight slows down. Jake starts to get closer and closer, not to winning, but to landing the big one.
Yep.
And he actually drops him, which you did call, that he would drop him late.
Yep.
The only thing that didn't happen that we said was a little bit more of the clinching, and we did talk about the clinch. We did say it was going to be an ugly fight. We didn't think it was going to be maybe necessarily points taken away for it, like what happened. But the only thing that we said that didn't happen was that Jake was going to stop him. Jake dropped him, didn't stop him. And we'll eat our crow on that. But to say, oh, casuals, YouTube boxers, anybody that knows boxing, anyone that knows boxing knows that Tommy shouldn't have been as close as it was.
Yes, that's what was going to be my first question to you, actually.
Not even.
Mr. Wade, I was going to ask you, when it came to Tommy Fury, was he what you expected? Was he better than you expected or a little bit worse than you expected?
I don't think that I would say he was better than I expected. He was what I expected. He was exactly what I expected. The only thing that I think was a little more telling for me was the same as Tyron Woodley 2. I thought that there was a lot of things. It was not as much Tommy was better. You know what Tommy did better than I thought he would do? He handled the moment a lot better than I thought he would. He handled the late, quote unquote, big moment championship round feel, like 6, 7, and 8. He handled a lot better than I thought he would. And to be fair to Tommy, this fight, when I say the fight was close, it wasn't. It wasn't close, but it was closer than you thought it would have been if you were just a pro boxing head that knew nothing about Jake. That you just knew that's the YouTuber, you know?
I thought Tommy looked worse, not by a lot, but worse than what I expected, only because I felt like Tommy's defense was...
I expected that, though. I think everybody that knew that Tommy walks right into that right hand...
I just didn't expect, like, from the experience-wise, he looked inexperienced defensively, not really offensively. You know, at times, yes, like with his shot selection. But defensively, I thought, like, the story of the fight for me was Jake just more missed the opportunity, not that Tommy was stopping Jake in his tracks or he was negating everything that Jake was doing. More so that there was opportunity there, and Jake just missed a lot of the opportunity that was, like, glaring. And I was like, man, you know, he was available a lot more than I thought he would be. Defensively, and I was like, man, I just felt like Jake missed a lot of the opportunities that I thought I expected him to take. You know, I've been saying it time and time again that he's a guy that in those moments, what makes Jake dangerous without his experience is his willingness to pull the trigger in, you know, the 50-50s. And there was a lot of 50-50s where we didn't see those exchanges. We didn't see what he did to Anderson Silva. The left hook push up and then the right hand after, like on the exchange in that situation.
The follow-up never felt like...
We didn't see that. We saw underhooks and a lot of clinching and fatigue, but the flatness...
I was going to say...
But just a lack of willingness. A lack of willingness to pull the trigger if you're feeling down in a fight. I don't know how you feel about this, but I almost felt like he looked and maybe it's probably me thinking this as someone who's dealt with this a lot over the years of competing and not competing, but almost a little burnt out.
I was gonna say overtrained was the word. It looked like what the best of Jake this camp. Everything that he talked about him feeling the best, he was doing this in camp. I think he left it in camp. I mean, I don't want to say this to discredit what Tommy did at all, and I will push back on one of the things you said about him not doing anything to Jake to keep him at bay. Jake was having real trouble with his jab.
Yeah, he was having trouble
real
with the
trouble.
jab.
It wasn't because Tommy was, doing something crazy with it. He's got great volume, his length, he understands how to use it, and he was following it up. There was not just one in Jake's face. There was a couple. There was good feints to set it up. So Tommy did a lot of things right. And to be fair to him too, I thought he was going to burn himself out. I thought Tommy was going to come out like a fireball.
Yeah.
And he
looked tired towards the end.
He looked tired, but he did a good job of managing in the middle. You go to rounds 3, I think it was 3, 4, and 5, and Tommy let off the gas a bit. And that was Jake's opportunity, right? That's where the opportunity started.
Yeah, there was times where Tommy was jabbing and sometimes missing and then circling to his left, like with his hands down in his pockets. Down. Bro. And I'm like, I'm sitting here like, Jake, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah.
And then he would get a little bit closer with that right hand, and I'm like, oh, he's getting closer.
Yeah.
But I'm like, bro, why are you not going for broke in a lot of these situations that he usually does? Because Tommy just sometimes his hands were down in situations where I'm like, where I expected like the bomb's gonna land, because I felt like that was what I predicted. Where in a situation, Tommy's either gonna get tired or he's just gonna be like, I've been good the whole fight and I've been getting out of the way.
Get comfortable being, like you said, confident. We were talking off stream or off camera about, you were talking about Floyd Mayweather's confidence in his own ability to throw, and him being so confident in it is particularly a reason why it's so successful, but it's also can be a reason why if you get the right matchup or the right person, maybe not with Floyd, but especially with Tommy, in there to capitalize on it, they will leave themselves open for that counter shot or for whatever it is that keeps them vulnerable, right? You're so confident in your jab and you're so confident in your head movement and your footwork that you do leave yourself vulnerable, and he does fight a little bit like Tyson does without the reach and size of Tyson, right? This is what makes Tyson good.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
No one's 6'9", and that's why Tyson's able to get away with stuff.
I guess I do have to say this, because when I do think back at it, I do think if this thing didn't happen, I think Jake would have had a better chance. The uppercut.
Caught him early with one. I think he caught him early with one.
Yeah, and he caught him, I don't know what round, but it was mid to late, like when he stung him.
Yeah.
Because Jake is a duck and chuck.
Yep.
And I thought originally, I'm like, if Tommy can land that uppercut, it's gonna maybe make Jake think twice about ducking and chucking and make him a little hesitant. And maybe that's what it was, because when you get stung with an uppercut and you're someone who relies on ducking and chucking like that, that overhand punch, you start to hesitate with dropping. And the way Jake throws it, it's all about timing. He tries to
and his timing wasn't bad timing this fight. It was just I don't know if, again, you're talking about Tommy who has an 80-inch reach. The jab was giving Jake trouble, and it was not
80,
allowing.
Bro. It said 74, bro.
It said 74 on the broadcast, and I was like,
I thought about you, I was like,
it's 80,
Wade's lying to us, bro.
No, it's around 80. There's no way it's 74. Jake did not have a reach advantage. It was clear to see that Tommy was able to implement his jab, touch Jake, and not get touched. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, it wasn't like Tommy was doing anything extra special, but he was just fundamentally better as a boxer. He was just fundamentally better. And the things that are glaring from Jake were the things that aren't due to his athletic ability, right? The stuff that you have to, and this is unfortunate to say it this way, but you have to have time and put in. You have to, right? And this is a game of catch up for Jake, but his athletic ability has allowed him to catch up to a degree, like the timing on the left hook. Tommy would throw out the jab, and it looked like that was part. Like they said the game plan was to get on the front foot, be aggressive, stick a jab in Tommy's face, and negate his with the jab, and negate his with the right hand, and negate his with head movement and things like that. Jake had decent head movement at times, right? He would slip and throw inside and outside.
The beginning, Jake came out. But the problem is, you could tell once I saw that, immediately I'm like, all right, this is just going to waste energy, because he was doing it in a way where he's obviously been working on it, but it's just purely defensive.
Yeah.
So he hasn't developed it to the point where he can use to throw something, to use it for a combo.
He used it for one shot. It wasn't. You're right. The combos weren't there. Like he would slip inside and the left hook would come, and it started. I mean, he started landing that thing, and he was timing Tommy's jab as he got through the fight. But the problem is, and I think you're alluding to it. The problem was the follow up, the combinations. Jake was pot shotting a combination puncher, and a guy that was throwing 5 to his 1, 6 to his 1 sometimes, and you're getting overwhelmed with volume, but also you're out of rhythm. You can't build a rhythm throwing one at a time, and it's easy for us to sit here and say that, but it had to be done for Jake to get back in that fight, and he just never could put it together and get offensively combinations going and some rhythm going, and that's due to Tommy's jab and also just, like you said, a little bit of the hesitation from Jake.
But I guess this fight just turned out the way that I imagined it the first time around, literally, bro. Because I said, what are we talking about? Combination. We have not seen Jake fight against somebody who will not let him off the hook, who's going to throw combinations, force him to work his defense, and also is going to be able to notice the big shots and notice that right hand. And Tommy got caught by it a couple times where I'm like, he shouldn't have. And he got caught by a couple punches where his head snapped back, and I was kind of like, you didn't see that coming, So I was impressed with that part from Jake, but it kind of went the way that I predicted it originally.
It went the way you wanted Tyron to fight him, essentially.
Yeah, where's the combinations? Where's it when Jake wants to? I remember Tommy did a great job. Jake threw an overhand, he made him miss, and then bang bang came back with a combination.
Exactly,
I'm like, this is what no one has done to Jake, where he throws that big shot and he just wants to exit. He's done boxing. He throws that thing. He's done boxing. He wants to reset, see everything, get back into timing and doing his whole thing. And Tommy was able to throw a couple combinations and catch him. And I can see Tyson at times be on the side, like, this is the time to get him in that experience where it's like maybe Tommy didn't know if he could have gone, but Tommy could have had a lot more success because he was still letting Jake off the hook often. Mm-hmm. And that bomb will do that to you because it kind of makes you hesitate. But because Jake had no answer defensively, he'll just cover.
I was going to ask you about that. What did you think of
shoulder roll?
What did you think of Jake? It just looked like, again, kind of the same thing we saw with Anderson, the high guard and just backpedaling a lot, or like you said, shoulder roll and then clinch, right?
Yeah, I mean, Jake, he's gotten this far because his ability to time his newfound power that he figured out during the Gibb fight, right? In that camp, clearly. So he knows that that's what he's reliant on. So defensively, it's not this thing where he's not going to be fighting on the inside, and that's the hardest part about boxing to learn is fighting in the pocket and fighting on the inside to be able to go back and forth.
He's not catching and shooting.
Right? No, that takes because you got to do that perfectly. You got to do that perfectly. People don't realize you have to do that perfectly. If you're a little off when you go to catch, you go into sleep.
Yeah,
you got to catch it just right. Yeah. So it's for me, Jake was. That's what I imagined him to be. I liked his jab. He landed his jab a little bit better. I thought he was going to get schooled. Tommy was going to get comfortable. And Jake, again, I just thought the right hand was going to do it.
I thought it was going to be a bigger difference.
Right.
We thought it would be a
knockdown with the jab wasn't a real, like, I'm rocked and I'm going down. It wasn't like he hurt him, but he scored a knockdown.
Right.
And I just thought that Jake, he didn't obviously improve him much, but you can only improve so much. I did see the difference with Jake in the head movement in the beginning. We did touch on that.
Yep.
Right? Trying to move his head.
Right.
But once that wasn't turning into any offense, he just went back into his old ways.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to look forward. I'm going to try to march forward, start twitching my right hand and look forward.
And let it go, yeah. And then the thing was, I want to go back to what you said about being burnt out and something you said about, the Gibb fight. Call me crazy, but do you think in that Gibb fight, when you said it, Jake found that power in the Gibb fight? Do you think to a degree, Jake has fallen in love with that power, and maybe it's a crutch more so than it is necessarily a strength now, right? Where if it's not landing, what else do we have, right?
Yeah, bro. He freaking knocked out Tyron Woodley on impact before he hit the ground.
Crazy.
You do that, and you were just a full-time YouTuber, and you go out there against a guy who's knocked people out, done crazy stuff, right? And you knock that dude out. Yeah. You beat him in a decision. Then you put down Anderson Silva. he'd have to be crazy not to believe in his power. You know what I'm saying? Like for you, that's your resume. Like it's one thing to experience it than to look at it on paper. You know, and again, now he's fighting a boxer in Tommy Fury, so maybe he's learning a lot. But it's hard in camp. You have to learn these new things. But it's like, why can't I just believe in my power?
Can I just go to what I? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I do what I do
because this is what I got, right? But I got to learn this just in case it doesn't work, and that's still a lot to learn, in a small period of time, relatively, because he's been training it. You know what I mean? So.
Right.
I don't know. It's tough, but I don't know if it's a crutch because he can only learn so much in so much time. He hasn't been boxing for a long time.
Yeah.
And when you look at what Tyson said and what John said, they were impressed by Jake. Right? They were taken aback by this guy shouldn't be
in there doing what he's doing with our boy. Which
right?
I agree with. And I think that obviously Jake's going to get, we saw KSI on Twitter laughing it up. I'm sure you saw the video. You saw that? JJ was going crazy. Did you see, by the way, this was hilarious. I'll give him this. He got in one of the Twitter spaces of like the Jake Paul fans. And he just started laughing. The man JJ said, and I might misquote it, but it was something to the degree of, your tears, there's more tears in this space, or there's enough tears in this space to quench the thirst of a full African tribe.
Oh my gosh, bro.
He was going crazy. So it was hilarious to see, and you knew this was going to happen, right, from everyone. My thoughts on it were that I thought, like I said, Jake doing what he did was fairly impressive. Even though, again, I didn't think Tommy was anything special, but he just had, like I said, he had what the Fury said he would have, time. A little bit more time, a little bit more experience. My question to you, and this is why I was talking about the Tyron Woodley 2 fight and Jake being so flat-footed. It's kind of how he always fights at this point.
Yeah.
Do you think there needs to be an addition or a subtraction to camp for Jake at this point? Do you think they need to bring someone like I don't know the name. I don't know who it would be. A different eye, like a couple of new eyes in, just to get a different look at him? Or do you think there needs to be some scaling back of certain things? I don't know. I'm trying to think of how do you get him to whatever level you want to get him to now.
Well, I don't know. To me, and I've said this before, we just talked about it.
Or have we just hit the ceiling too? That's the question.
Nah. It's not the ceiling. It's when people talk about Jake Paul's opponents and they haven't been boxers.
Yep.
Okay. What that equates to for me is that Jake has been left off the hook a lot. And because of that, he hasn't developed the experience in a boxing fight that he's gotten away with a lot.
Would you say, though, that getting away with that is something that needs to be addressed in camp? Like, yeah, you're getting away with it now, but we need to focus on it here.
100%. And most of the time that's going to be corrected early on in your amateur career or in your first couple of fights because you're versed in a boxer, and they're going to make you pay that when every time you duck and chuck and you just exit, or in like the medium range, you're not boxing. You know what I mean? The volume has been so low. Jake's had to deal with such little volume.
He got doubled up this fight.
Right, and real pressure and real power. Someone who has boxing defense, someone who can play the game better than him. That hasn't been a thing for him yet.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, Jake throws an overhand and misses, and all of a sudden, there's punches flying back at you immediately.
Yep.
He's just going to cover because he hasn't dealt with it yet. So when you look at the record, and obviously he's won and stuff, that's one thing. But to me, I'm like, this is still so early because now, yes, obviously sparring in the gym, that's one thing. But to be in there to fight a guy who is going to expose you a little bit for the mistakes you've had where the other people haven't exposed you in the boxing realm, that's just a learning curve for him. And it's still, even though, what is he now? How many fights has he had?
He's 7-1 now.
Right, so he had 8 fights, but this is the first, and it's professional.
Right.
But this is the first one where someone was actually boxing with you, not just punching with you.
Right.
Right? And this is what happened where Jake's like, okay, typically Jake, Anderson, and Woodley, 2 older guys. They're just fighting back and forth. They're throwing punches. They're trading you go, I go, right? They're getting tired. They're clinching. And then these guys later in the rounds get comfortable. Jake's the younger guy. He's still switched on. He gets a burst of energy, seizes the moment, bang.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden you're versing a young blood who knows how to box, and you're like, all right, here's my opportunity. Oh, right hand. He's like, oh, slip, bang, 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 and you're like, oh, shoot. You know, this other guy's has a little bit more experience than me, and he's a little bit more switched on in the boxing ring, and now I'm facing new adversity.
Yep.
So it's not so much. It's so much like this. It's a skill gap, but he just hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah. So you think,
and he's someone who can figure it out. I just think from coaching people and teaching people, and from someone who's been a fighter, your coaches can tell you something freaking a million times, but until you get kicked in the head, I'm like, told you. And now you get kicked in the head. Now you listen. I've been telling you this. Now you can get. Oh, I see. Right. The feedback that these coaches have been. I'm assuming. It's not. If it's not, then obviously he might need some help there. I'm assuming that's going to be in there because it's
to think. I mean, like
a fundamental thing where when Jake misses,
there's too much wealth. There's too much wealth of knowledge in that camp. You'd have to think that it's more of a go into survival mode because you haven't, like you said, you haven't experienced it yet. So you're, as soon as it happens, you're okay. Back to what reflexes, whatever, athleticism. But you'd have to think they've drilled it umpteenth times in this camp, right? Like there was a game plan. Maybe it just wasn't followed the right way. And that's not, like I said, it's not all on Jake. It's just like you said, it's experience. But you'd have to think with BJ, with Danny Smith, with Jay Leon, among others, with that between them, 60 years of boxing experience, you'd have to think that that's been gone over. But this is kind of what we're talking about, with the big difference, right? Jake's never seen the volume that he saw on Sunday. Tommy came out and threw 302 punches.
Yeah, well, I don't even know what the other numbers are from other fighters, but
couldn't have been close, right? And Jake obviously got doubled up there, threw only 157 punches, got doubled up with the jab, got doubled up with the power shot. I mean, it was pretty clear. The thing that I think we thought was this was going to happen, regardless. This was going to happen. Jake was not going to go volume for volume with Tommy.
Right.
And I think you kind of echoed the same thought. I didn't think Tommy was going to be able to sustain it into the 8th because we'd never seen it, right? He was like, okay, this is at 4 rounds with Anthony Taylor. He was gassed, bloated. And I didn't think, again, combining that on top of the fact that Tommy had never, when we were talking about experience, Tommy had never been in this magnitude of a fight for himself. I did think it would get to him a little bit. And in instances it did, right? Where you're talking about, where he was not able to follow up and not able, in his own words, he came out and said, hey, listen, it's my first time doing this. I probably should have went out and finished him. He said, it didn't click to me in the moment, but now looking back on it, there were probably times where I could have got him out of there.
Yeah, and he was getting hit with some certain shots that he shouldn't have been hit with.
The left hook continuously, over and over. Inside slip, left hook. Inside slip,
and
left hook.
When he was walking to his left.
Yeah. And Jake got, that's what I'm saying.
Into Jake's right hand.
They got what they wanted. Like, to a degree, in like you said, in the 50-50s, they got what they wanted. They said, I was on the phone with somebody from that side a couple weeks before, and they were saying, listen, we want to influence Tommy to his left. We want to influence him to his left to walk him right into it. And they did, to a degree. They got it. It's just,
and
again,
Jake just wasn't pulling the trigger.
It wasn't, and like you said, he looked burnt out. My question, I guess we'll go there with it. My question would be, what do you do with Jake next? Is it the rematch? Like they said they're gonna reactivate. Is it the KSI fight? Is it? I'm hearing the Nate Diaz fight might be dead in the water. Ariel Helwani seems to think it's dead.
Well, I think there's too much right now because you have KSI as well, and then you have a rematch. So if you want a rematch, or you either go rematch or you go KSI.
What do you think is the better option for him?
I think the better option is KSI.
I agree with you.
You go rematch and you just have a repeat.
Does nothing for you, and potentially gets the KSI fight in jeopardy. You do that again.
Yeah, it just doesn't. And it just gets like, I don't know. Here's the thing. You're not going to, besides my loss, you're not going to get a better way to lose.
Yeah.
Split decision. It's mainly because I didn't get like outboxed, right? It's where Jake, he has a picture of him knocking down Tommy Fury.
Does have that? He already put it on the gram. Already put it on there.
You know what I'm saying? And it was a split decision. One of the judges thought you won. So, like...
By the way, I'm not going to... Complete garbage. There's no way. Jake didn't win. Jake won, arguably won.
There's no way, bro. What do you... Listen, we're talking about...
No, I'm just saying
you want to go on a
like
rant of boxing scoring?
How you see it like that is bonkers to me. And this is not to disrespect Jake, but you can give him 1 round, maybe 2. Maybe.
Yeah, but the going forward thing, the ring generalship, the aggression.
No, yeah, I guess we shouldn't get started there. Yeah, that's true. Now, talk to me about this. What did you think? And this is just
percentages. I don't know.
No,
dude,
the percent. Tommy landed higher percentage, and with more volume, landed higher percentage.
Oh dang!
So it's not even close.
I saw somewhere Jake landed better percentage.
No, look, we got it right here. Tommy landed it. Oh, you're right. No, I apologize. Tommy landed 2% less. But power punch is 3% more, while doubling up. Crazy. So
that is crazy. Yeah.
So no, but I wanted to ask you this. Speaking of the judging, not really the judging, but the refereeing. What did you think of the points taken on both sides?
So weird, bro. So weird. After the second point being taken, I want to say this first. I saw the judge smiling and laughing, talking with this after the round, and doing this. He started dancing to the music and like smiling.
One of the judges.
No. Sorry, the ref.
Oh my Lord, have mercy! A guy.
Is that what you'd ask me about? I thought.
Well,
you said
one of the judges though. That's why I said.
My bad.
The referee though is like dancing around and like, oh, we're having a good time here, not taking it seriously.
Yeah, this is after the second point deduction. That round, shit. I remember in the when the round was over, he was like laughing and chuckling, and it started like doing like a dance, and I'm like,
I hate that. You know what it reeks of? It reeks of
so weird.
It reeks of what was the referee that did KSI and Logan? What was that guy's name?
Oh, I forget him.
He's a legend too. He's a legend. But it reeks of that. It reeks of the I am above this, so it's not serious. So I've got to referee it because these two don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I know more than you. So here's the point, because I'm going to be super strict and super stern with you guys because you don't know the difference.
He looks so annoyed. He was with the clinching. He's like the.
Can't stand it. Yeah.
Guys, can you fight, please? What's going on here?
I get it, but it's like it's not your job to be stage hand left. It's not your job to be Mr. Theater actor, right? You don't.
And this is what got me about when you talk about the scores, bro. I'm like, this is why you never know. I'm like, when I saw the point deductions this way, that way, then I saw
you can make an argument for Tommy's.
Like,
I don't know what the referee even saw with Jake hitting someone in the back of the head, like. He was in the clinch, and he's throwing the little open hand palms to the side of the head, but he wasn't reaching around and throwing them to the back of the head. And if he got a warning for it, fair. But another thing I thought was funny that when Tommy got his point taken, they were like, "Tommy's not holding, Jake's doing the holding." Tommy's very slick. He absolutely was holding Jake, but he was doing it, and we talked about this in a way that doesn't look like he is holding. He was underhooking him. He was going double underhooks.
But I thought Jake was doing more of the double unders, bro.
No. Jake would get here, because Jake would start low, and Tommy would go boom underneath and get his hands under, and Jake would get here, and then Tommy would give him the field goal as good spread.
I thought I saw Jake doing this a lot.
Well, maybe, but Jake didn't get the point taken for holding. He got the point taken for the.
That's true. Yes,
the back of the head. Tommy got his from holding, and Tommy was doing a good job of hiding it because every time, and it maybe was because Jake was telling the referees, "Hold me, he's holding me." But Tommy was getting his double unders, and he would spread his arms out so Jake would be here, wrapped around, so it looks like Jake is holding Tommy. Tommy's got it's old school, it's clean. Yeah, he was lifting him. So I was like, okay, that's another thing though, the boxing experience of Tommy.
Yeah,
being around guys that have that.
The funny part is I think the clinching hurt both of them, because I think that whoever was initiating the clinch would have just done a lot better if they decided to punch.
To just fire.
Because whoever initiated it, they were available. If Tommy, when he was initiating a clinch, should have thrown because Jake was on the defensive. Because usually the guy that was offensive was the one that was clinching.
Clinch, yep.
The one that was crashing.
Yep.
So I was like, the person who was crashing, another person has became, like I remember clear as day, I think it was Jake. Jake had an opportunity. He landed a punch. I forget what round it was. It was late in the fight, though. He landed a punch, and Tommy just kind of was gonna cover up or leaning away, and Jake just decided to reach out and clinch.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you just landed a punch.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt like Tommy did the same thing a lot. He would crash in and punch, and then they didn't want to box.
I want you to look at this picture here.
They stopped boxing. They kept stop boxing. Dude.
I want you to look at this picture here. These were the opportunities that and this is a still shot, but Jake did a lot of this.
Yes.
He did a lot of this with the slip inside. This is the opportunity for that right hand to come out.
Boom.
And it just never did.
There.
And there's so many of those that we can.
Is that a picture? Is that the uppercut?
No, this is just Jake slipping inside of one. But you mean on down here? But you see again, Jake's trying to go inside, right? This one's nice and clean. Jake trying to slip outside. There was a lot of this slipping inside, outside, but just nothing to follow up behind it. Here's another one, right? Boom. But
yeah, there nothing. He is. He would do that and then throw that weird.
And the hook would come. The hook would come around it.
The left one.
But this was the shot, man. Wow. But yeah, essentially.
Look at that jab landed by Jake.
Look at this one though.
Some jabs.
Boom, buddy, have one of them. But yeah, Jake was landing too, man. He was snapping the head too. But here's another one.
Yeah,
Look,
there was one.
This happened time and time again, man. So it's like and another one. Just hint. So here's the thing that I want to. One more thing I want to address before we get into, I guess, get out of here. Really, did you hear Logan Paul?
Bro, what was that, dude?
First off, I've heard of interviews in a boxing match, sometimes even in the corner, right, while the match is happening.
Yeah.
It doesn't go over the fucking loudspeaker through the entire arena. So if Logan wants to talk his shit, be like, yeah, my brother's whipping his ass. It happened. They interviewed Jake during the Floyd fight, right? They were like, yeah, my brother's up 2-1, whatever. But it doesn't go over the loudspeaker. Logan's cutting a promo. And this is before the fourth round starts, or maybe right after, where Tommy did look a little like he was starting to gas a bit.
Yeah.
I understand it's great promotion. I understand the Paul brothers get it, and they're just going to talk their shit. My problem is it might not have done him very well because it might have just lit a little bit of a fire under Tommy and maybe switched him on again because it did go over the loudspeaker. So it didn't help your brother out too much because Tommy came out and started again on the front foot and was going crazy again. What did you think about that, though?
Yeah, I thought it was one of those weird moments in like boxing interviews. Yeah. There's so many of them all the time where it's like, what is going on here? And it's not a great look. Not for them. Another thing, it's like I felt like I was at like Thanksgiving, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, dude, my uncle's saying something again, bro. Just somebody shut him up.
Yep. Hey, now listen.
That's literally what it felt like.
Now watch this at the end of it. This is this might get cut out, but this is Radio Raheem, who was doing all the interview stuff this week, dropped an F-bomb in the post-fight interview of Jake. He got the emotions got the best of him, so he called Jake he said, "You're a fucking boxer now." Professionalism went out the window, but listen to this from Radio Raheem.
What was the last thing that you said to Jake before he came out tonight?
I said, Jake, I love you. I'm not going to give you a big speech. I know you got this, but either come back victorious or come back on your shield. I love you, bro.
I love you too, man.
So Radio Raheem thought that Logan was showing him some love, thought he'd say he loved him too.
I love it, bro. This is a classic.
He's the man,
like
dude.
News bloopers.
Dude, Radio Raheem gets the best stuff. To this day, that was him, bro.
Dude, no pause. And he's already on to the next subject. Look at the clip right there. In that picture. I love you too, man. And back to the, right back to it, bro. Like, Logan's like, huh? What?
So, yeah, there's that. But, yeah, all in all, Sensei, I think that to sum this thing up and to wrap it up, final thoughts are Jake left a lot in the ring for sure. But like I said, maybe in camp. I genuinely think there was a little bit of overtraining going on, and the reliance on his high-tech recovery that I'm super impressed with, by the way. I just think this time it caught up to him a little bit.
Yeah, and it being in Saudi, I don't know about the energy, dude. He said a little flat.
He kept saying something about his energy, but also the excuses. We can't let him get away with the excuses stuff.
I think that yes, of course. But what I'm saying is, I don't know, like, if this fight is in Cleveland or if it's in Tommy's hometown, maybe it's different. I just don't know if the flatness has to do with, bro, because I'll tell you right now, that has something to do with it.
Well,
because I fought in the UK and I fought in, I know, but I fought in Dubai. And when I fought in the UK, like versus Kenny, and when I fought in Dubai, I was in a small hall in Dubai. Like, it was not even a hall. Like, it felt like a ballroom a dining hall, bro. Like
Applebee's.
Like it was really weird to see everyone like at dinner tables watching the fights.
Right.
Like that's what it was. So I'm walking out, bro, and I'm looking out and I go, as I'm walking out to fight, like what the hell am I doing? Are these people eating dinner? Like I felt like, I'm not gonna lie, I felt like that was the first time me fighting, and I fought in a cage before, for a combat zone. The vibe, the dinner table vibe, bro, it made it feel like I was some gladiator being paid entertainment, and these were the rich people, and I was some peasant dude. Like
probably low-key, probably was.
It did not feel great.
Right.
I tell you that. Like, but like in the UK,
rowdy.
I walk out there,
Fight feel.
Rowdy, right? I'm about to fight Kenny in his hometown. The UK fans going crazy.
Yeah.
The energy's there. When I'm fighting in between rounds in the UK, the energy's there because the event. When I was in Dubai, I was like, this is just crazy. I couldn't. It wasn't. It was so different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was flatter. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. You know, the sickness excuses, bro. Didn't need to list off the things, bro.
Can't
you can't
do it. Not then. If you want to come out later
not
in an
you.
interview,
Someone else can say it. Someone else can say it.
Coach can
Not
say that.
You.
You can't say it, and especially you can't do it right then. And he was doing a good job of being like, listen, I lost, whatever. And then he went that route, and I was like, oh no, not the Logan, not the 3 seasons,
I know,
bro.
He's like, I was sick, hurt my arm. What else? What else on this, guys? What else?
Guys, we get it right.
I got sick a couple weeks ago actually as well.
You said
I was a little flat. I didn't feel great.
Food was undercooked yesterday. Yeah,
I know, bro. Like the way he just kept listing. I'm not making excuses.
But let me get. But no, man. Listen, like I said, I think Jake left a little bit in camp. I think he would admit to that. I think he still showed well for himself. Again against Tommy, but
let me ask you: Does he lose any stock here? Does he lose any stock?
I think he loses stock in the short term. I think right now everybody is, and this is going to be a video we talk about in a second, but everybody is the pendulum went here really quickly, right?
Yeah.
So in the short term, he's going to lose a little stock, but I think in the long term, we're going to look back and be like, oh, damn. Not because
Does Tommy lose stock? Does Tommy lose stock?
Yeah, a little bit.
This is my takeaway. My takeaway is Jake was not a great night.
Yep.
But didn't look terrible. Knocked him down. Didn't really perform very great.
Yep.
But Tommy Fury should be an influencer boxer. Like he should. He should. You know what I mean? Like I think he lost stock where Jake stock. Like listening to the Furies talk about Jake. Like in their head, what happened was Tommy lost stock. Their son did, and Jake gained stock with them.
They lit up when they talked
about
Jake.
Even though he lost,
they lit up.
Yes.
They were like that kid. Yada. So. I agree. I think Jake didn't really lose any stock. Obviously, what happens next, we'll see. But for now, we'll leave it there. We were wrong, man. We were wrong, but not by much.
Sort of.
Not by much. Comment section. Let us know how bad it was, and tell us that quote, that YouTube-centric quote. This aged terribly. Go ahead. Let us know down in the comments below, and we will see you guys next time.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it